All right. Some fundamentals. Some fundamentals. A scorecard is meant to be comprehensive without being overwhelming. It's meant to be reviewed weekly with your leadership team. And somebody has to be accountable for each measurable. Okay, somebody. And you can't have multiple people. It has to be one person for each measurable. Now, if you have a sales team, each person can have a sales target. So you can have the same measurable multiple times, but only one person can own a specific accountability or measurable. Okay, remember, even if someone's responsible for a task, it does not mean they're accountable for its success. Now, when you have a scorecard, and we're going to keep breaking this down, it says that a person, I'll say an ops person, owns a quality metric in the company, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're in charge of making the product or doing the service. It just means they're in charge of making sure that that number gets hit. So when we talk about the owner of a number, a lot of times people say, well, I report the number, so I guess I own it. That happens all the time in finance. I report net profit, so I guess I own it. That's not what a scorecard is. Remember, we're talking about the baseball game. It's about who wins and loses. So we talk about net profit and those kind of numbers. It's not about who reports it. It's about who's responsible for hitting it. Okay, so when you get to scorecard, it's about who's responsible for hitting it. It's a scorecard of people. Remember that. It's a scorecard of people. Now we start getting into where scorecards completely go out of whack. Generally speaking, and there are some exceptions, measurables are the activities that are being tracked. They're activities. They are not lagging indicators. This is the biggest thing that gets screwed up in scorecards, number one. So when we go and work with a business, and I'm sure we're going to see it today in some of the workshops, but when we go into work with a business and we say, show us your scorecard, oftentimes we're looking at something that people can't control. So if you can't control it, you can't win. You don't have the ability to win. And if an employee can't control the outcome of a scorecard event, your scorecard is no longer, you can't win the game anymore. This is the number one thing that's violated in scorecards. And if you get this wrong, you no longer can control your business. So we're all about helping companies make money. So when I go into a company and they'll say, well, I don't know the leading indicators of my business. What that tells me is I say, that's why your company's not growing, because you don't actually know how to grow it. And that's hard. So today, we're going to talk about figuring out how to figure out what grows your company and what makes it successful. So you'll notice here are some examples. Now, the first one we put on there is gross profit. Now, some of you are probably thinking, this webinar sucks. That is bullshit. That is a lagging indicator. Eric is a dipshit. Well, that may be true, but for the purposes of webinar, we have on our scorecard that gross profit is a leading indicator. For our commercial business, gross profit is actually a leading indicator. Now, I put that on there first because what matters, once again, for a scorecard is that it's a number that you can control. Sometimes you can control certain numbers, sometimes you can't. For us in our business, gross profit happens to be something that our business, the people that own gross profit are so in tune on a weekly basis to how to control gross profit that on a weekly basis we can hit it or not. Now, if I owned a business where I couldn't control gross profit on a weekly basis and know what I had to do to achieve that, that would then be a lagging indicator. So in my business, it's a leading indicator. For some businesses, that one is a lagging indicator, okay? I'll tell you where lagging indicators go in just a minute. 2, number of calls made in a week. Who has that on your scorecard? I guess the people that are off video right now. I'm gonna make them get back on video. Yeah, you guys calls, right? Love it, love it. People will tell you, oh, all the having calls and all that shit, that's old school. They are lazy. Whoever's telling you that's lazy, that's the reality. That's how people build companies. They make phone calls, they do networking events, they do campaigns, they do things that are repetitive, that are over and over and over again, and that's how they win.